So you don't drink and drive, but you can drink and dragon.
Oh, I can't even find the thing. Look at this bonus content for everybody.
Bonus content.
My PC is running so slowly.
Yeah, so's mine tonight. I think it's the actual internet.
Oh, don't say that. They always cut us off when we slag off the internet providers. it always gets a bit worse when we do that. Right, here we go.
Now, of context, I just look like an idiot sat here like a dragon. Jeez.
Well, that's it. Yeah, if we were doing a podcast about Star Trek, it'd make perfect sense.
Exactly.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization.
What happened there?
I don't know. I think we're having gremlins.
I think we are, right.
And it's definitely gremlins, not dragons.
We'll try. We probably should crack on with the show, but you know what? There's no way I'm getting the MP3 of the intro and dropping it into a track to edit it. We're going to do it live or not at all?
Okay, so re-roll.
Right, re-roll. Here we go.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Did you guys hear the rest of the intro then?
I got
it didn't even show my screen is playing, but
no, I got as far as Starship. Anyway, you know what? We'll just do the show.
I did all of it. I think that one played.
It did come through.
Yeah, but my recorder didn't get it. But anyway, never mind. We'll do. Oh, you're gonna have to edit the YouTube video, Elliot. We can't be having this.
Because when I wasn't happy on the first one, it cut out just as she was coming on screen as well.
The wrong version.
Right.
It's edited for the podcast release.
Okay. Does it? Right. Okay. Yes. No, it does. It does. Okay. So everybody be quiet for a second, and then I'll know when to pick it up on the editing.
Are we going to play it a third time? Or?
No, we're not going to play it. We're done. We're hemorrhaging viewers as we speak.
Yeah.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Drag on! It's my new greeting. I think it's going to catch on.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll work whether you're not dressed as a dragon. Also great for audio.
Actually, I mean, I should... for anyone who's listening on audio, I am dressed as a dragon. I say that I actually usually put on a human suit. This is what I naturally look like. So I've just stripped buck naked to my natural dragon glory right now.
Yeah, I can believe it. So we've got a big bumper episode this week. We've got 2 episodes of Prodigy, and then we don't usually do this for Prodigy. We usually do it for Lower Decks, where an episode sort of leads us down a little rabbit hole into Star Trek history. But these last 2 weeks' episodes of Prodigy led us to the Outrageous Okona, which we thought was worth covering at this point.
Yeah, so we'll come back to Return to Grace probably next week.
We will cover all of the Dominion War at some point.
I just thought, look, if they just done 1 episode with O'Connell, I could have turned a blind eye. I could have saved us this madness. But a two-parter with him, it needed to be done.
Yeah,
it just had to be.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I think we said in our chat, it's probably the only time we'd do it by choice. So, you know what? It's not that bad. For season 2 Next Gen, it's not the worst.
It's all right. Nothing about it makes any sense, but it's an okay watch for an hour.
Yeah, for season 2 TNG.
Oh, for season 2, it's bloody blinding.
Yeah, there's far worse.
I mean, you were saying about Loud as a Whisper, which my Netflix tried to put on just straight away afterwards. I'm like, oh, no, you don't. I'm not covering that one until we have to.
Nope, can't be doing with it. I won't repeat.
If you noticed on Netflix, it's not the remastered version.
Is it not?
No, I noticed how grainy the picture was today when I was rewatching Okona.
I actually thought it looked really good. Are you sure it just want your internet were a bit naff?
No, I put my glasses on and I could see how bad it was.
Yeah, it was pretty grainy when I watched it.
Maybe Paramount have like pinched them back for their streaming service. Like, if you want good quality Star Trek, you've got to come to Paramount. Netflix can have the old ones.
Is next gen on Paramount? Because I've only
is what?
Paramount. Is next gen on Paramount?
All of Star Trek is on Paramount except for the ones that aren't.
Yeah, clear as that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're losing the films again because they're renting them out to HBO Max or something in America. So no idea what's going on. Anyway, come on. We've got loads to talk about. So, Crossroads, the episode of Prodigy. And now this is the weird benefit of doing what we've done this time by skipping a week. And we get a bit more context to things. So, the Diviner's still like sort of rehabbing, but he can't remember everything. And then this young Trill ensign comes up to him and she says something like, "You are an eternal blah, blah, blah." And then he goes off and says something. And the first time you watch it, you just think, oh, he's remembering stuff. But then given what happens at the end of the next episode, you're like, was that kind of a trigger phrase that she fed him to deliberately trigger his memories?
I didn't
even think of that. I didn't even think of that, but there were so many bits which when I was watching the second time, it's like, oh, that bit, that, there's a bit where she sees Dull, where the reaction on her face is like, there just seemed more to the reaction, but I couldn't put my finger on it at the time, which when you rewatch it, it's like, oh, of course, she knows what's happening.
Yeah, it's weird. There's a couple of bits where I'm not sure if it works, but we'll sort of talk about them as we get to them, because I was like, yeah. But Captain's Log then, and we said this loads when we covered Discovery, that they didn't do enough Captain's Logs. And this shows how great the Captain's Log can be as an exposition device, because we don't do a previously on, but we get Dal saying, right, Captain's Log, we've got this weapon, we're trying to get rid of it, we're going to abandon the ship. Oh, and Murph's going through some changes as well. And you're like, perfect, that's what you can use it for, is to just catch everybody up on what's been going on.
Yeah, it takes 30 seconds.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's more interesting than doing previously on. If you can contain it within the episode, that's even better,
Yeah.
And I've got to say, this two-parter is just a real good demonstration of how Prodigy isn't afraid to burn through plot, because there's some stuff going on in these two-parters. You could have done throughout the whole series. You could spend so many episodes getting to this point or getting through everything they do in this two-parter. But they're like, no, let's just make it really hot, really enjoyable TV. Let's make it dynamite pace. And it just, I'd say even more than Strange New Worlds, this to me is like the original series for the heart, the kind of like adventure, the simple storytelling. And it never winks at the camera, which, I like Strange New Worlds. I kind of like it when they do a little wink at the camera occasionally. But they never did that in the original series, and they don't do it here either. And it just feels so
they did do winks at the camera all the time in the original
Not purposely.
Series.
I think that was just a cheesy acting.
Episode when they tell a joke at the end and they laugh at the
camera. Oh, yeah, when they do.
And freeze.
I've always taken that as being meant seriously at the time, but now we see it as kind of like when they do the overtop laughs. Obviously, that looks silly now, but I think they were doing that sincerely at the time.
No, they were doing it to the camera.
It's kind of like that bit in Austin Powers, isn't it, where they all do the evil laugh, then the camera lingers a little bit too long and it stays with them, and they're just sort of calming down from the laugh, like, oh.
Maybe it's more like what I remember the original series being like when I watched it as a kid, because you don't pick up on any of that stuff. So I guess it takes me back to that feeling. But no, you guys are right. I can't really debate.
Which episode is it? It's not Trouble with Tribbles. There's another episode where they do the fake laugh at the end, but they absolutely like dial it up as far as it can possibly go. And I think at one point Scotty like falls over with laughing. It's that ridiculous.
I think I'm thinking of the same one, because I don't remember which episode it was from, but I think like Kirk does this sort of belly slap to one of them, like going, and I think he does that a couple of times. It lasts that long.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But it does make you wonder, like, what'll happen if the camera lingers? Do they just calm down and go, "Whoa, good one, Spock"? Anyway, so they do bury the ship then, and there's quite a sort of nice bit with Janeway where, you know, she's like, "Go find the real me," foreshadowing, ironically, she'll be loads of help to you. And it is quite touching that she's like, you know, I'll see you when you get back, and it could be.
I think in the end that the real Janeway is going to be really helpful to.
I think she
realizes what's going on.
Well, let's face it. Even though she doesn't know what's going on, she's like, "Well, these are kids. Like, let's, you know, we can't just open fire at them." And it's wonderfully Starfleet. They don't brush over that. You know, the whole crew of the other ship, which Janeway's on, they're also pleased when they manage to solve the day without killing these kids.
Yeah.
Because there's some shows I don't think would do that as deftly.
And she's definitely getting there by the end of these 2 episodes, isn't she? She's starting to think, actually, these kids might not be bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that moment because you did have that moment earlier where you got her with Dal. No, not Dal. With the guy. What's the name of the main guy? The captain.
The diviner, Dal.
No, it's Dal.
Janeway, Chakotay.
The captain of the kids. That's Dal.
Dal.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I talked myself out of it. Anyway, I like the bit because you've had that moment of him with Janeway. I think that's planting some seeds as well. I reckon that's all about the fact that she knows, like she's had a conversation with him. I think that's her kind of like getting that he's really a good guy at heart. She doesn't know what's going on, but I think she kind of senses something partly due to that conversation.
Yeah, I think so. And I do think that's where we're going to end up, is that we'll get one of them, you know, where you've got your heroes and they're a little bit antagonistic to each other at first, but then they team up together at the end.
Yeah, I also think, I mean, this was after Janeway being a real dick about that guy who's the eyewitness, because she's going, it's like, where is he? Oh, not very Starfleet. What, he's fucking 5 minutes late. Like, maybe find out what happened. He might have been in an accident.
No, because it does show that even from orbit, she'd been trying to signal him and he'd taken off his badge and all that.
She doesn't want to check what's happened. She doesn't want to check what's happened before she gets all darky about him. Jeez.
I know, I agree with her. I do think we've got like a yin and yang thing, and it's the yin and yang of people who are left alone on Starfleet bases, and on the bad end of the spectrum, you've got this geezer, but then on the good end, we've got our mate with the parrot from Discovery. Yeah.
We love that guy.
We do. He needs his own spin-off, him and the parrot.
Damn right. Well, it's him, Admiral Silver Daddy Bear, and Tilly. That's the show I'm pitching still. That's the Starfleet Academy show, as far as I'm concerned, is those 3.
Why does Parrot Guy, does he get sent back to the Academy?
Well, yeah, like, he's done such stellar work. He's not going to get left on that station anymore. He was one of the people responsible for bringing the Federation back together. He's got to get a promotion out of that.
He's going to be teaching classes.
Yeah, he kept the fires alight for so many years. Like, for all we know, decades he was there with that parrot clock.
No, yeah, you've won me round. So I think, he's like a guest lecturer that if you take Manning Abandoned Star Bases 101, he comes on and he goes, right then, lesson 1, you need the parrot.
I like to think the show opens on him giving a lecture about, and for all those years I stayed at my post, just willing Starfleet back into existence, and thusly the Federation came back. Like, you know, that's the big hero speech at the beginning, and then Tilly comes back.
And it's like, you know, right, well, you need your parrot and you need a little flag of the Federation that you can press a button and it unfurls dramatically.
Yeah.
They're the 2 things that you need. And then he does the cautionary tale of, well, there was another guy who did it hundreds of years ago. And, Captain Janeway didn't like him. So anyway, we get introduced to our guest star then, which is the outrageous Okona. Was anybody asking for this?
No, I
why?
Think is the one character no one has ever asked to see more of.
No one's asked for him. And I would venture to guess that there will be a lot of people watching this who have not picked up on the fact that this is a returning character.
Sure. I mean, this is the thing. No one's asking for it. But I don't know about you guys. I thoroughly enjoyed him in this 2-parter. I thought
he was fine. I mean...
You've got an inbuilt rogue already. Why not reuse him?
He's obviously lost an eye at some point. No doubt there'll be a IDW Comics one-shot about how Okona loses his eye, and he's more rugged, a bit older.
It was Worf who done it.
If you go to Memory Beta right now, I bet you there's fan fiction already there.
No, Worf did it.
Worf did it? Why?
Yeah.
Did you want him to make him look like Martok or something?
No, he just had enough of him, so he took his eye out.
And then...
Stop looking at me like that, and he sorted it.
See, I think you've read that scene wrong, because, we'll talk about the episode in full later, but I will jump ahead for a minute. But you're referring to the scene where Worf goes round to get Okona and he's in bed with the red-headed woman. And they just kind of look at each other. And Worf just goes, "Oh, I would like to." And I'm not sure he's talking about fighting him there. I think there's a... Honestly, just what... I think there's definitely something there, you know.
Well, you see...
Give it a rewatch.
No, I'd like to join in.
Well, maybe that's it.
You see, I'm going to link your theories together. I reckon it was a crime of passion. All these years, Worf's been thinking about him. He plucks out his eyes with his bat'leth as an excuse that it was like, he's dishonorable. But afterwards, he couldn't live with himself. And that's why he's a pacifist in Picard. It all comes from
yeah, that's it. I killed Okona. Well, I ripped his eye out. Yeah. So, this base then. So, we've got Okona, who... there's a lot of Star Wars going on in these two episodes. So obviously, Okona was an attempt at Han Solo, because every sci-fi franchise wants a Han Solo.
Well, they did at the time.
I think they still do. If you watch most films, there's the Han Solo archetype in a lot of films. You know, like Captain Jack Sparrow is basically Han Solo dialed up a little bit, and that. And I feel like this is their attempt at doing the Force Awakens Han Solo, like he's that little bit older, a little bit more weary. And I feel like that's where they were going with it, but it isn't quite got the reception that Harrison Ford got for returning to the role.
What, you think there aren't going to be people partying in the streets about Okona's return?
Well, maybe, yeah.
Well, I'm with Jim on this, that I bet a lot of people who watched this two-parter didn't realise that Okona was a returning character.
Probably not. But I do like the fact that even if it's not like, let's face it, it didn't have to be a recurring character, but it's like, we've got this character, why not reuse him? I thought it was kind of a fun thing for people who know. And also, I love the fact that they kind of like always use all parts of the beast. So they have him there as this roguish character who can come and go like as the plot suits, but he's also because he's a bit more experienced and he's a bit older, you get that jealousy between him and Dal. I think it's really well done. I do like the fact they kind of like use a character for all it's worth on this show.
Yeah, I like the tension with Dal, definitely. I still don't get why they used Okona, but never mind, we'll get over it. So Gwyn bumps into this Trill ensign then. And this is the bit that I'm not sure if this worked in hindsight, because the ensign's like, "Oh, you're Gwyn Dalla. That must be his daughter. Oh, don't go anywhere. Oh, he's been looking for you." And I'm like, knowing what we know at the end, would that really be what had happened between these two?
Yeah, because the Trill won't know what's actually happened between the Diviner and Gwen.
Okay.
He'll just, because he's not saying everything that's gone on, is he?
No, true.
So she's assuming, this is his daughter. Why wouldn't she want to be reunited with her father?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Because he hasn't given any context of how he's lost his memory. All they've done is found him imprisoned.
Oh, no, but I think because the person's come, so the Trill ensign who turns out to be someone else at the end, I think because she's come back in time, though, it depends on what she knew when she travelled back.
Yeah, I feel like she knows more than anyone else at this point. That's certainly the impression that I got. I feel like she's maybe like the insurance policy that they sent back in time in case the Diviner didn't get the job done.
For half a second, I didn't even know if she was meant to be Gwen older.
I think she is and she isn't. I think what she's meant to be, because Gwen, we know, was like genetically created by the Diviner to be his offspring. So I assume that this person is the one that he made in his own time, and then he's come back in time and made a new one, which is the Gwen that we know.
I was just assuming this is another memory species from the planet in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that, but I wasn't sure if, like, maybe somehow it was Gwyn in the future. Like,
I think it's Gwyn 1, or assuming that the Gwyn we know is Gwyn 2, or like Dr. Sung with all his different names and everything that he gives to all his different daughters. So I think this is the Soji to Gwyn's, whatever the other one were called, Daj. That's my theory anyway. We'll see if we're right. And then, Dal meets Janeway, and
I love that scene.
Yeah, that was really good. And I do love, like, Kate Mulgrew's performance as the two different Janeways. Like, the hologram Janeway's sort of much more maternal and softer, and older Janeway's clearly a bit more pissed off. And
a bit more combat hardened. And
that's the thing. I like the fact that she started off as that, and she started off as harsh Admiral Janeway, who's seen more shit, you know. But then when she talked to him, she kind of softened. She remembers being a bit more maternal towards her. You know, I like the fact they kind of played that so that it kind of revealed the shades of her as she talked.
What's also nice is that Vice Admiral Janeway actually looks very much like Kate Mulgrew looks now.
Yeah,
they have done it so that you could probably have live action Kate Mulgrew come back as Janeway in one of the series.
And don't think she's not got her eye on that. All the Star Trek actors now are rubbing their hands out.
I was going to say, we can open this up to some naturally occurring Trek news amongst talking about this, because they've said that with the new series of Picard, it's likely to have characters from, they're going to wrap up stuff from Deep Space Nine and Voyager as well. So,
I'm not convinced
that has to be Harry Kim finally gets promoted.
No, he must never be promoted. He is an ensign for life. That's it.
I think, they should bring him in as still an ensign. But I
keep
took
getting
it
put forward for promotion, but every time fucking Admiral Janeway keeps blocking it.
I think when they said it'll also continue DS9 and Voyager, to me, I feel like that's just kind of saying, well, it exists in that timeline, so technically...
I think one of the things that we all want to see is what happens to Cisco.
You see, there is an opening here. If they are doing this, like, we were talking about this during the week, and James was saying that he said about them having the thing which was opened up by the Borg at the end of the last series.
Oh, yeah.
So if they're doing that, it's maybe that links into the wormhole aliens. You know, there's ways of kind of linking that in.
Maybe.
Really cool.
I want it to link into the big extra galactic AI intelligence that turned up for 2 seconds at the end of season 1 of Picard and then disappeared.
What, never been heard of before and never since?
I mean, do we have to refer to anything from season 1 in Picard?
Yes, we do. Season 1's all right.
It was awful.
Season 1 overcomplicated itself. It tried to do too much and couldn't tie it all up properly.
Yeah, there was no plot idea. It was just throwing stuff at the wall, kind of like Chibnall and Doctor Who. Just saying.
Oh, let's not open up the Chibnall and Doctor Who can of worms. We'll be here all day.
Go that long on Picard.
No, yeah, they didn't suddenly say, "Oh, well, actually, Picard lived 1,000 lifetimes before his actual lifetime."
Everything that happened in TNG wasn't proper. This is what really happened.
Or imagine they just said Picard's suddenly a robot now. I'm just saying they
He
may not
wasn't suddenly a robot. It was. There was at least one scene in between him not being a robot and being a robot.
Yeah, there was, and they rehashed. They did kind of retcon Data's death. So
they did, which, as I've said before, I think that was the whole thing. I think Michael Chabon, who was the showrunner for season 1, basically came into it saying, "I want to tell a better Data's death story." Oh, but we've got to fill 10 episodes. Yeah, some shit about the Borg and Romulans.
Yeah, and then even though Riker's decided to retire onto this planet and cook pizzas, he's then going to complain, going, "What, you didn't think I'd stay behind and cook pizzas, did you? That's exactly what you did. That no one forced you to do that. That was your choice, man."
Well, if you had stayed behind and cooked any more pizzas, Riker, the amount of time you took, you might not have made it. I mean, anyway. If you want to hear our thoughts on the episode Nepenthe and Riker's culinary skills, if you have a look through the podcast feed, it's on there.
I think skills is a bit stronger word.
Possibly.
I think he had to take his time cooking the pizzas in future because this doctor had a little.
I've had a lot to say about Riker's cooking.
You have? Yeah. So there's a big...
Or lack of.
There's a big car chase, which, again, this feels very, very Star Wars to me. Specifically the chase that they have in
it's nothing
Rise.
Like a land speeder.
It's very like them things that they're driving in Rise of Skywalker, like the First Order chasing them.
Oh, can I also just give a shout out just to the first officer for Janeway? Because it's the one that goes from Hamilton. Absolutely huge. I can't remember his name at the second, but he's the oh God, Jesus.
I'll give him a shout out, but I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name. I now can't think of the character either. Oh yeah, Thomas Jefferson.
That's the worst shout out ever.
That was a pretty bad shout out.
I remember
who you were.
That guy is sat there now saying, "I've just been negged by Dr. Squee on the Retrek podcast."
He plays Thomas Jefferson, and he was really good in it. And he was excellent, and I just think that he deserves. It's really
and
nice.
His name
is not important right now. He played Jefferson. He was greatest Jefferson. He was the best Jefferson ever. Very classy, very good. No, he's great. But it's just nice to see Star Trek able to get that climate. Like after doing Hamilton, you could go on any show you wanted. So it's really
true.
Nice. Stars like
very
that
true.
Star Trek.
You know what it is, and it's also elevated his profile now. He's practically a household name that everyone can just guy.
Yeah, you wouldn't forget his name.
Of the head. Yeah. It just rolls off your tongue.
It does.
Thomas Jefferson, he likes to be known as these days.
Yeah, it's gone to his head.
And Lafayette, he played. He also played Lafayette. I remember the other character he bloody played, but can I remember his actual name? No.
So then we then get a starship chase. So we get a land chase and a spaceship chase, which is
I did like how the Protostar came back up out of the ice.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, and you also got Janeway there going, it's like, oh, brilliant. How much time's passed? I can't wait to hear all about it. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
We were right back.
It's same star date.
Yeah.
It was like an hour. Tops.
There's a lovely shot where you've got the Dauntless and the Protostar sort of rises up in front of it and it shows that it just absolutely dwarfs it. I thought that was a really, really cool.
Even Hollow Janeway was getting sarcastic at that point. It's like, oh, you're going to outrun that Dauntless class starship? Oh, good luck.
And she also finally answers one of our nagging questions, which is, how is it getting everywhere? It's got a quantum slipstream drive. So there you go. There's your answer. We don't have to worry about it.
It's the shape that they had in Voyager, that alien had.
I know.
What I like about it is it all ties up nicely as well. So, like, there's that moment when Dahl meets Janeway and he doesn't say anything, but you kind of do get like the enormity of that moment, and he's really nervous, and it just seems like, and he's a kid at the end. You know, he's still a young guy.
Yeah.
So it all makes sense why that's such a tense moment for him. Then when they're on the ship, they can't even contact them because of the
weapon.
The thing, yeah.
And then you've got, I mean, it's kind of slapstick, but I do like the moment where Murph just hits the button and accidentally fires.
Well, I wanted to talk about this because it is just totally a fan theory. So there's several scenes in TNG where Riker's just leaning on consoles. And as a result of this, fans came up with a theory that, well, obviously it isn't pressure that triggers the buttons, otherwise Riker would be launching torpedoes left, right, and centre.
There's a glutinous maximus detector built into the consoles.
Yeah.
So how can Murph sitting on it trigger it?
Okay. So have you got a theory first?
No?
Jim, because I don't want to interrupt. Because, right, first of all, if you mash all the buttons on your phone, it doesn't always register because you're pressing more than one button at a time. So maybe it's the same kind of thing for a start.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, do you know the real reason why he was always leaning over stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's because when they were filming it, so he could get in frame because he was so much taller than the rest of the crew. So all the time when you have him crouched over, it's just so he could fit in frame, basically.
It's because of his back problems.
Well, yeah, he had a bad back, didn't he?
Oh,
but
okay.
that's why he does.
That's why he sits down how he does.
But apparently, some of it was for framing as well, so they could get him in. Otherwise, he just it would be Riker's neck down to get him in the same frame as Picard.
But going by your theory that if you're just mashing the buttons, so you're saying Riker's ass is too big, but so does Murph have a little pointy thing on his backside or something then?
Well, he's a gelatinous kind of being, so how do we know which part of his body that was?
Pressure points.
We don't know what he's pressing the button with.
And yeah, it's worth pointing out that Murph at this point has mutated into an almost human-looking thing.
Yeah, we didn't get the wings that we were hoping for the toys.
No, see, I'm wondering now, because we talked no end about why haven't we got toys. Maybe because they knew that Murph was going to mutate into something else, so let's not fleece the fans by releasing one set of toys, then another set of toys. But that doesn't sound like a toy company.
No, that sounds very unlikely. But maybe they are going to do a change.
Toy that would turn inside out from one to the other.
Oh,
that's what I'm picturing.
And so the reason they've not released them is because they've given away the metamorphosis early. Yes.
But again, you could have spaced this out over 2 series as opposed to 1 series, as this obviously is. But you could have had 1 series him being this, next series he's something else. He could transform into something for the third.
Well, maybe
series.
We're not done. Maybe Murph's gonna sort of repeatedly. Maybe this is just like an interim thing, and we haven't reached the final form yet. Well, maybe you'll get wings. Maybe Murph will sprout wings. So they end up this episode then in the neutral zone. And that's where we leave it. I was kind of hoping that the Romulan was going to be somebody we knew, like Sealer or Tomalak or something like that.
And we have the protostar damage because Janeway, to stop them, fires on the third nacelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nicely done as well. And the third nacelle, again, allowing for this little extra bit of drama so they can still move somewhat, but it cripples them. Yeah.
And so jumping straight into the next episode then, Murph's now got lightsabers.
Well, this got me. Like, if you look at it, Murph's picked up 2 phaser cutters or something because they're repairing the ship.
Lightsabers.
Okay, lightsabers. And he's just running around cutting the ship to pieces, making it worse.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing we have proved, security on the ship, not at the highest. They just nicked it like this. Then next of all, you've got random weapons which can just be fired by anyone, as well as panel buttons which can just launch torpedoes without any unlocking of the screen or anything. I mean, it's not the most secure ship that they've ever built, is all I'm saying.
It's fair point. But Murphy's now going to be the security officer, and they decide to put him in like a hamster ball, which I enjoyed the hamster ball, but what I enjoyed even more is when Rock put him around her neck, and we've basically got like Tweaky and Dr. Theopol from Buck Rogers now.
I love that. I was just thinking I like a kid's papoose, but that's better.
I feel like it's a deliberate nod to Buck Rogers.
Yep.
Maybe. And then Jellicoe makes a return, which, see, that's a good cameo. That's the level of character we want if you're going to bring back cast characters.
Was always a good officer.
Yeah, I agree.
Riker was insubordinate and was an arsehole to the rest of the crew.
It is really difficult to defend how Riker is in the episode. Like, I want 4 shifts. No, fuck you. I'm just going to stop that and not tell you until it naturally comes up in conversation.
Yeah, like, I want a 4-shift rotation. Means that people only have to do a 6-hour day. And Riker's there, no, the assholes can do 8.
I mean, look, he could have had a conversation with it, but it might be more shifts throughout the week. But regardless, all he had to do was have a conversation with him going, look, some of the crew have just said this is a problem with shifting to that because they can't make it because of childcare, whatever the fuck issues it was. But instead, he just waits until he finds out. It's like, that's not the way you bring up an issue with a captain.
If we'd have left Jellicoe in charge, we'd have had a 4-day working week. Yeah. Everybody would have been happy. But no, not Riker. Riker wants you working 24/7. Riker likes it on Bajor because they've got a 26-hour day. He's like, right, I like that even more.
I like that. We'll go to a 2-shift rotation.
Yeah, this is it. And I tell you what, Data, he don't sleep. He can do 24 hours a day.
Hey, look, if you're going to send me to Ricer...
This bullshit going and learning comedy.
No,
I wish anyway, it's fucking shit. He ain't funny.
All I'm saying is, if you want me to go to Ricer and have a 26-hour days where I'm working all the way through, I am all for it. The work
Bajor, not Ricer.
Oh, I thought you said Ricer.
You wish Ricer had a 26-hour day.
Thinking, yeah, maybe that's the wish was the mother of the thought there, maybe.
That's it. But anyway, Jellicoe wants Janeway to destroy the Protostar. And they end up going to a spaceport. And Rox now seems to be coming down on genetics as her science of choice.
I think it's going to be Science of the Week. We need that. I think every week she has a different science. That's going to be the fun of it.
And there's these aliens
at the start in the last episode.
Yes, briefly, yeah.
And we get that in this episode. She's going to be a weather girl.
Oh, well, that'd be good. She could do like a, what is it, like a...
and get a tracksuit and run about all over.
Yeah, or Michael Fish. Like, you could have an episode where Rock says, oh, don't worry, there won't be a hurricane. And then next thing, there's a hurricane. And it's like, that's how she gets sort of cashiered out of Starfleet.
Sorry. When you said that she was going to be a weather girl, I thought she was going to re-release It's Raining Men with her new version.
Oh, that'd be good. That's your Christmas number 1.
It's raining Murph. Hallelujah. It's raining Murph.
CBS, listen to us. We need it for Christmas number 1. The aliens, then. Are these meant to look like them aliens out of Galaxy Quest? Because they do. You know, the ones that are on the planet before the big rock monster comes? And they're like, oh, they're so cute. And then they get the fangs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it.
Thank you. I feel validated now. Yeah. Then, this is what you were saying, Squee, about like how we're rattling through the story. We get all this stuff about Dal. And I thought that was going to be like season finale before we get any sort of revelation about what Dal is.
This is a bit of a red herring.
Oh,
go on then.
Go on.
Because we get all this, like, we go down and we meet the doctor on this geneticist, and really interested. And then it's Stalin start going, oh, you're an augment, you're one of Dr. Sung's.
Yeah.
And I can see all this and this and this, and Dal's convinced that it's a science experiment and he was sort of creating a petri dish. But he had that memory before of being left by his parents.
Oh, so he did.
So I think some of this is a red herring.
But maybe it was like his adoptive parents. I'm wondering because you've got Sung mentioned there for a start. That's got to
yes, that was a nice callback.
But Elliot, just let me finish with it. I'm wondering if somehow that links into them coming from the future as well. Maybe they met Sung because it just seems like too much of a coincidence that two of them are now genetically, made.
I think weren't they talking about the thingy Sung, the one from Enterprise who did all the stuff with the augments?
Was it him? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I took from it.
Yeah, they said like it's an augment, which it may have started as that, and it may be genetic from a song. But if we've got a song from Enterprise era that started this, we're actually talking hundreds of years in the past.
Oh,
so it's quite possible that is a species that's has been created. But
that's
it can have
exactly
parents and they can have a society.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so he could be the child of some people who genetically engineered. He's a child. Yeah, that works. I don't know. It just seems like the fact that he's genetically engineered and so's Gwen. I'm wondering if that links somehow because they don't look that.
Maybe
like there is some similarity to the look. They're both
maybe Gwyn / the Diviner's species will be what Dal's species evolves into eventually.
Yes, that's it. That's the link. So because if you look at Dal's face is kind of like purple with blue coming outside it, and Gwyn has got a purplish nose with blue outside of it. So, like, the color scheme just seems very similar. Yeah. So, I just, it seems too many coincidences not to link together.
Maybe. And then why is it super classified with Starfleet then? Is that because of the ban on genetic engineering in Starfleet?
There you go. Done. Solved.
Okay, we'll go with that. And if we're right...
I do think that it being grown in a Petri dish is a bit of a red herring.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, going back to Star Wars again, we saw that scene where Rey saw her parents leaving her and then they retconned that twice over the space of 2 more movies, so...
Yes, but
not having a dig at the Star Wars. They did not.
That's because J.J. Abrams came in and went, right, first movie, throw a couple of plots in, remake the first one, Star Wars, done. Right, let's get another writer in. Not tell him any of my plot ideas.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, when I heard people theorizing about that, I was like, "Oh, there is no way that they don't talk about this in advance." Then I saw the third film. It's like, no, you guys were right. Apparently, they didn't. Apparently, with this $1 billion franchise, they decided not to communicate with each other.
Definitely did not. Anyway, I do have a theory about the narrative arc of the Star Wars sequels, but then they brought Rise of Skywalker out and it fell apart completely. I do think there is what the second one does, I think is really interesting after what was set up with the first one, but it's not paid off in the third one, so it all goes up in smoke. But anyway.
I know exactly what the plan was for the 3 Star Wars movies.
To make a shitload of money.
Make Star Wars, make money.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's worked.
Did, and they managed not to do part 2.
True.
As much as I'm enjoying the rewarsing podcast that we're doing in the middle of
let's get back to
we've still got another episode to get through.
So there's cute alien dogs. They're very toyetic. I think we should have plush toys of the cute alien dogs.
Yeah.
The Romulans that are after them, there's some really cool skydiving and stuff like that going on. I really enjoy all of that stuff.
Yeah,
well,
and I love the justification.
Star Trek 2009, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And when they said about, like, this is very outdated.
At the end of the last episode where the protostar rises up, reminds me of the second Star Trek movie when it comes out.
Yeah, with the... Oh, what's it called? RoboCop ship. Not the Dauntless. I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, where there's that whacking great big baddie. Yeah.
Oh, the Vendetta, is it?
Vendetta, that's it. Then Dal, we find out, has had this implant to enhance his dormant DNA. So we get all this fun with him going a bit Klingon and his intelligence is up and everything. And we get a really cool action sequence. And then we get Murph in action as well. It's just action all over the shop at the end of this episode.
With the look of Dal as well, is it just me who thought when they had like the beard and everything, he looked a bit hobgoblinish? I was wondering if that was a little nod to like the fact that they were always alluding to Spock looking like a hobgoblin.
Oh,
like,
could be.
It's a bit out there, but it seemed like he just really reminded me of like a picture of a stereotypical devil kind of figure, which there were so many comparisons to anything pointy-eared with Spock with McCoy. Yeah. And
it's that classic sort of the beast within, like the hero trying to repress the bestial side and everything. Yeah. So it's all really good fun.
And as we all know, as soon as someone gets a beard in Star Trek, they're a bad guy.
Well, that's it. Apart from Riker. Riker turned awesome when he got the beard, but...
That's true. He's the one. It's the Riker exception, they call it.
Cisco turned awesome when he got a beard.
In Defiant, that's when he turned evil.
Right. Yeah. Okay. New theory. In the Prime universe, if they get a beard in advance, they're okay. If they don't have a beard, then they go to the mirror universe. Their bearded double will be evil.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, we'll go with that.
Yes.
And then, we do get this thing with Janeway at the end where she's like, who are these kids? And you can see that she's starting to get a bit of respect for them, think that they're actually decent, and I feel like that's where the arc's going.
Well, that's obviously they've beaten off the Telshia.
Well, yeah, it takes a bit of doing.
Yeah, and you know that like Janeway is going to see, like you can tell she can see there's something else going on. This isn't a simple case of a stolen ship, and I think it's that Janeway smarts which is going to come.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the other guy goes full evil again.
Because she met Dal, and Dal was sort of like a bit awestruck with her and wanting to join Starfleet. She started to think, well, why have these kids got this ship? Why are they running away? Yeah. What actually happened on the...
And you know, like outdoors. It's the whole thing of like when a Starfleet officer looks into another's eyes. Like it's never been outright said, but I think it's always been suggested that they can sort of tell what's in someone's heart by looking at them.
Yeah,
there's this thing, this unwritten thing of Starfleet. You know when someone's on the level.
Yeah,
and Janeway's good at spotting the good in people, apart from Chakotay, but. We won't start on Chakotay.
Yeah, and Kim.
Yeah, she's oblivious to the good of Harry Kim.
He's a great ensign.
He is a great ensign. That's it. She's like, she's going pegged. She's like, that is where you are.
That is your Peter principle is very low.
That's it. If we promote you, it'll all go terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah, you're a good ensign, and you're staying there because I need a good ensign. And
maybe go to
recruit for the role.
Maybe Harry, go 2 weeks without dying. Then maybe I'll see about promoting him. Sorry.
And that's why in all these alternate futures where you see that Harry becomes a captain or whatever, Janeway always manages to reset the timeline again. She's like, no.
That didn't happen.
It was a dark timeline.
Because we all know how timelines work in Voyager. No.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they just don't happen.
Yeah. The only thing different in Janeway's worst of the possible all timelines is just where Harry gets a promotion. That's it. That's all it takes.
So the big reveal at the end. Then we've already talked about it. I think we've pretty much covered it all. But yeah, there's a version of Dreadnought is there, and it appears that this Trill / Gwyn / Diviner /
Gwen. I think it's just another member of his species.
Another member of his species.
Did you think you were the only one who was sent back?
Yeah, exactly. So I think she's from the future, but I think she might be a version of Gwyn that is made in the future.
Think that's just a member of his species.
Yeah, I do like the idea, though. It would be a wonderful thing to play with if you did have her being an early experiment version of Gwyn, so they get to sort of like face off with each other. That would be really interesting.
Well, we'll find out next week, no doubt. So, the Outrageous Okona, then, our bonus episode. It's not great.
It's not great. It's not. But
It's
but
better than I remembered.
you get Terry Hatcher. I mean, look, he must be doing something right to bed Terry Hatcher along with all the other women of the Enterprise.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's it was great for the guy playing the outrageous Okona. I'm not denying that, but
and they, as always, just show the second that there's any guy they've got to sell as attractive, like just Troy just starts blushing. Oh, he's such a
that was so ridiculous that she's just like, ooh.
It was Lutan again, wasn't it?
Very much. And then it's like, oh, we'll show that he's a womanizer, where he goes, hey, was that a woman's voice I heard? And like, really? Are you that hard up, O'Connor, that like as soon as you hear a woman's voice?
No. Apparently, he's not hard up at all. He's very well satisfied. As we know
that's
throughout this episode.
And as soon as he beams over, he's like, "Hey, Transporter Chief Terry Hatcher." Like, what if that had been O'Brien? We'd have had a very different episode.
Hey, it would just be better LGBTQ representation earlier on, at least.
True. That's funny you should say that, actually, because there is a line in this episode where they're sort of describing O'Connor's crimes and everything. And the guy says, he used my son to steal this thing. And for a second, I thought, oh, they're implying that he's also having an affair with the son. I was like, wow, that's really progressive for the time. And of course, it turns out that isn't the case. But I just found it really interesting that that's what I thought. Maybe it's because I'm more accustomed to watching modern TV now, where that sort of thing wouldn't raise an eyebrow. But I just found that really interesting dialogue, and it's a bit of a shame that they didn't go down that route with it, and just go, yeah, O'Connor's a player. He's
No.
But I don't think the world was ready for it in 1988 or whenever this came out.
88.
And quite frankly, I think looking at that boy child they had playing the little prince guy,
yes,
I think O'Connor would have broken him. Quite frankly, I just think, he would have been too much for him, too much man for him.
And then just to show how cool O'Connor is, got Wesley and Geordie just absolutely pissing himself at everything that he says.
This is a good example of what we were talking about earlier. You are right.
Don't you think he's a bit of a dick, though, when he comes on the ship and Riker's introducing him to everyone and he just completely ignores Data?
Yeah, I think O'Connor's a bit of a dick anyway.
Oh my god! And by the way, any instance in this episode where Data doesn't laugh at a joke, I fucking agree with him. All the jokes are awful.
Yeah, there are no funny jokes in this episode.
The guy they've got playing the stand-up comedian is a guy called Joe Piscopo, who was on Saturday Night Live. Just get him to write the jokes. Like get him.
Well, he doesn't deliver them well. Sorry, this is a complete digression, but the actor, the guy playing him, Joe Piscopo, a mate of mine, I had this big row with him. So he went, "Do you know that Joe Piscopo's in Star Trek?" And I was like, "Who?" And he was like, Joe Piscopo from Casino, Goodfellas. I'm like, "That's Joe Pesci." He's like, "No, it's Joe Piscopo."
Oh, no.
And he was adamant that Joe Piscopo, who he thought was Joe Pesci,
because they look so much alike.
It was just the weirdest conversation. He ended up because I went and got my TNG guidebook and showed him a picture.
Joe Pesci would have been brilliant.
Joe Pesci would have been good.
I was thinking the other way. Were there on all these films a kind of a comedian at the casino or something? Maybe they just like writing him into these things.
Well, he does have that big "you think it's funny" speech, Joe Pesci. So maybe that's where the confusion came from. Who knows?
That's quite
but
good.
O'Connor does commit the biggest crime of this episode, which is where he tells Data about jokes, and we get this interminable subplot that they forget about for most of the episode and then randomly go back to it near the end.
I mean, and it's when they then force Whoopi Goldberg to say, "I'm a droid, you're a droid, and I'm annoyed," and she repeats it 3 times.
Yeah,
it's the
and she's
funniest shit you've ever heard.
she's like, "That's funny, Data. It isn't, Guinan."
No, it's not. No, it's not. Data, you're reacting perfectly. You are only training Data to act poorly as a human if you get
This is it. I mean, Squee, you're a man who enjoys his puns.
I am.
And occasionally, some of your puns don't quite land.
What?
And just
this is outrageous.
Just occasionally.
Slander.
However, I'm about to give you a compliment because every pun you have ever said is better than the one that Guinan delivers in this episode.
Okay, if I ever have to have a pull quote for any of my work, that's going on there.
Get that on there.
Yeah, that's going on.
Meanwhile, Okona bangs Terry Hatcher, which a lot of gentlemen of our age, I think, would be fairly envious of that.
Yeah. For a 14-year-old or however old I was when Superman came out.
Yeah.
Just a little salute to you there.
Well, I was 17.
I've got to give that one to
you. Yeah, so there you go. So,
whatever age I was, whenever I saw Terry Hatcher, I salute you.
Yeah, so
just for that one.
Yeah, if you've achieved nothing else, Okona, you've made a lot of middle-aged men very jealous. So, well done. Then Data goes back to Guinan, and he's like, right, I'll tell you some jokes, and they are all crap. But the one that she cuts him off on is a racist at a Ferengi. Like, he starts with, a librarian and a Ferengi walk into it, and it's like, replace the word Ferengi with any Earth ethnicity, and this scene plays very, very differently.
Yeah. I mean, and they do that all the time because there's even an episode, a joke which I think you do hear in Encounter at Farpoint, and they reference it in Generations, that there was a joke that he got told by Geordie, and he just got it because he's got his emotion.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the same kind of thing. It's a Ferengi, a Vulcan, and a
exactly.
Into a bar. It's like, it's a lot of casual racism here.
Exactly that. I won't repeat any of it on air, obviously, but that is the equivalent of those blokes you see in pubs going, here's one for you, and it's just horrible. So, okay, Joe Pesky teaches Data racist jokes.
Can I also throw into that? There's also a scene in this film where basically Picard becomes a bit of a bully, but it's kind of subtly done. But if you think about it, it's the scene where you've got Riker and him, and they go, it's like, they're pointing lasers at us. Well, maybe we should lower the shields. Why would you do that, Captain? Well, it is protocol. They're basically taking the piss out of a ship for not having.
I just want to point. We've done a few Star Wars references.
Yep.
And I just want to point out that Star Wars ships have lasers, and this puts it to bed wherever, which is the strongest ships.
Well, that's true. I'm just saying when Starfleet starts going on might is right, it's not the most Starfleet thing I can do.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's pretty bad, isn't it? Like, they could shoot us all day and we wouldn't give a shit.
Well, number one, do you want to make me a cup of tea while they shoot at us? Because I'm not worried.
Oh, let's do it. I'll tell you what we'll do, number one. We'll both go into the 10 forward window and we'll get his asses out and we'll just slap them. Slap them at them. Ooh, have some of this.
I'll tell you what, let's put on the view screen and we'll just go, whoa, every time they shoot. More.
Yeah, so, no, bad form, Picard. And then we get that Worf scene where, I would really like to.
Now, this really annoys me, this whole scene. Because Worf's sent to find Okona, and that's fine. O'Connor's not part of the crew, so if he wants to be a bit funny, and all that when Worf goes looking for him, fine. But she's an officer on the Enterprise.
That's very true.
And she's encouraging this behaviour of him not following orders.
Yeah, I mean
that is true.
She should be brought up on charges later by Worf for how she acts.
I mean,
maybe she was. I don't think we ever see her again. So
basically,
there you go. He airlocked her.
So if we establish that O'Connor's just following, his own code of ethics, everyone aboard the Enterprise, especially the female cohort as shown here, is just randomly sleeping with him. So that's not on him, really. And also the fact that at the end he's shown to have been doing this for noble reasons. Really, it's the outrageous everyone apart from Okona. He's actually a pretty
That's
sad guy
true.
by the end of it.
Speaking of outrageous, there's a bit where they're sort of talking about, well, you know, it's he got the daughter pregnant and now the dad's not happy about it. And they go, oh, it's a very archaic approach. So is Federation pro deadbeat dads who just fuck off and leave people pregnant then?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I don't get where they're going with that. Are they trying to say, oh, you know, women can be sexually liberated as well? Like that's one thing.
Where they're going is,
but I don't think that absolves men of responsibility for children.
I think where they're going is that just because you get someone pregnant doesn't mean you should get married, which was a very...
Which is...
sort of right through the 50s, 60s, 70s, well into the 80s. If you got someone pregnant, you're expected to marry them.
I read it. I think maybe you're right, and that is what they were going for. But the way it came across to me was like, well, it don't matter if you get so pregnant, you don't have to have all to do with her. Fucking hell.
May I also throw out there as well?
But that's a very modern attitude because it was very much society.
I know, but
like if you still had it if women got pregnant and they didn't get married, that would almost be shunned by the families.
Yeah, I get that, but there's a difference. There's a difference between saying you don't have to marry them and you are free to take no responsibility whatsoever for this child that you've helped create. You know, I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
There was worse there. You've just completely missed the worst of it, though, guys. There's a bit where they reveal what's actually happened, and that it's the prince from that planet has screwed the daughter from this planet.
Yeah.
And still, after they've gone, she goes, oh, maybe I'm not going to marry him. They go, right, you're marrying Okona, who we've already established isn't the father, but fuck it, you're going to marry someone. Like, this just, like, I don't care who you marry.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
We're just going to just whore you out to any old guy who...
it's pretty bad.
Okona should be totally let off it.
Yeah, although I did, the only bit which I thought was kind of nicely done was like, oh yeah, I did have your planet's jewel the whole time. It slipped my mind. You know, that was quite a nice little touch, I think.
Yeah, they clearly that to be a that Okona.
That's the only outrageous thing he does the whole episode, though.
His hair's pretty outrageous. He uses a lot.
Fact, I think it's the treatment he got on the Enterprise which made him even more outrageous and turned him into the guy we see in Prodigy.
What he actually did was he gouged his own eye out because he watched the next episode, which is Loud as a Whisper. And anyway, there's a bit where Wesley talks to him, and Wesley's like, "Oh, I can't imagine, you know, traveling all the time." Like, oh, bit of irony there, given where Wesley ends up. So
Wesley even says, "It's like, well, I think I know where I'm going to end up." What, you know, you're going to be a traveler? What?
Yeah, but you know, obviously unintentional, but I quite enjoyed the irony of that.
That goes off on year-long missions, traveling all over the galaxy.
True enough. Yeah, and I also, it was very painfully obvious, as it was in that Just Say No episode we watched recently. I love the fact that how old is Will Wheaton there? What, 15? Are we saying?
Yeah.
At this point, something like that. Yeah, Wesley's meant to be about
We'll say Wesley's 15. And he has lines which a 10-year-old should be delivering. He's so poorly written for. I just feel so sorry for him because Will Wheaton, I think even back then was a decent actor. Like we've all seen him Stand By Me, and he was cracking in that. And he's been great ever since. He was just really written for shittily. Did you hear the deal they tried to do to get him to stay on the series?
Yeah, they were going to promote him to lieutenant.
Yeah, they were going to promote the character
in lieu of a pay rise. Tell you what, Garrett Wong would have taken that in a heartbeat. He'd have snapped their hand off for that one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, like he talked to Will Wheaton later. It's like, you didn't know what you were being offered there.
Yeah, that's 7 years I waited for that deal. We call it the Wheaton deal.
Though, with the exchange between Okona and Data, and Data teaches him something like he's trying all this with funny and all that, and then he goes, "What about love?" And Data goes, "What do you mean? The act of love making or being in love?" It's the same thing. And O'Connor says straight away, well, it's the same thing.
Can I just
No, it's not. And you seem to think, no, you're right. So Data understands love better than he does.
True.
Well, that's because he's programmed for the act, as we know at this point.
I want to circle back to what James said, though, because it makes perfect sense. You said they call it the Wheaton deal. It's like, did they say that to him? It's like, well, we can make you a lieutenant. Does that Wheaton the deal for you at all?
Hey,
that's the kind of pun work you can expect from Dr.
That is a better pun than Guinan's.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, at this point, they've more or less forgotten about the sub. So they just cut mid-scene to insert this scene of Data going back into the holodeck. And, I mean, it's just rubbish, and it's like they're all laughing at everything he does, and he moves his hand and they laugh. And
yeah, I mean, how shit are these holograms? They can't program them to react live to a joke.
Yeah,
you know.
And then they go, he goes, oh, I'm crap, I'll turn it off. And then to wrap it all up, he tells some shit jokes at the end, and we almost do going right back to the TOS thing we were talking about, you know. Data.
It's also the idea that, like, you know, Data is such an observer of humans. He kind of like, it's such a sophisticated android. But when he sees a comedian, all he takes away is like, just do that a lot and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and walk around with a big cigar. I mean, that is quite funny. Yeah, you know what? Prop comedy can be amusing.
And I've got to hand it Joe Piscopo. I did love it when he did the Jerry Lewis impression. He was quite
that wasn't bad.
Comedian.
That was probably the funniest bit. It'd have been funny, like, if it had got it mixed up and, like, I mean, we know that he told the racist Ferengi joke, but, like, if he'd have gone on and been like, the holodeck program, here's Bernard Manning to tell you all about comedy Data.
I went to see him once.
It was awful.
Well, yeah. I mean...
As you say, and it's at the end, it's like, take my wolf, please. And it's like... Also, the solution to it, which makes no sense, is like Riker turns to Picard and goes, should I engage warp? Please. Like, you know, like that's going to stop them talking because you've engaged warp. That doesn't solve the situation.
Yeah,
it gets us out of the episode. It doesn't get you out of your life to get.
That's it. Yeah. When the credits come up, you are not done. It's not like a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead sort of thing. That'd be quite funny, actually. Like what the characters do in between episodes, like. They just see a big thing that says executive producer Rick Berman, and they're like, oh, guess we're done for now then, number one.
Well, it reminds me of a Rick and Morty episode they did last week where it was, so it was like loads of meta jokes was the idea. So they had to get through the credit sequence without flashing back or something. It was really well done. But yeah, it seems like that. It's like you realize your life doesn't end when the credits roll. That's not how real life works.
Yeah, exactly. Well, don't worry. We've got a deaf ambassador for you to speak to next week. That'll be a barrel of laughs.
Yeah, I mean, all they would need to add is like yes, number one, crack on. And I just appear from the holodeck going, did someone say dragon? Huh?
You see, there you go. You could have taught Data humour so much better than bloody Joe Piscopo.
Yeah. They're going, should I work on loads of intricate routines? No, just wear a dragon suit. Everyone will laugh.
Wear a dragon suit and say dragon. That would be funny if Data did that. Anyway, I think that's the Outrageous Okona done. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I think we gave that 18 minutes, and I think that's more than enough.
I think that's sufficient. Yeah.
I don't think you need a long time on it. I think it was following on from two good parters of Prodigy. It was just right, the right amount of time you could spend on Okona.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least we've covered it now.
And we've done it. We not only covered the Outrageous Okona, we've done an Okona special episode.
Exactly. This is the Okona episode.
The complete masterwork.
So, before we go.
Well, I have something I want to point out before we go. I am not editing the title sequence to put Dottie in as well. We've all seen her behind you, but she's hardly done anything apart from roll over.
Well, she's already pissed off because like Willow's got a TV show out today. She doesn't get a TV show. Doesn't matter how much I explain to her that Warwick Davis exists. She's not having it.
Nor should she. But yeah, so next week on Prodigy, who is the crappiest character that could turn up?
Loud as a
I
whisper
think
guy.
that we're
Just for
going
you.
to
no.
Loud as a whisper.
No, not loud as a whisper, guy.
We're all
That's
quite loud
too
as a
easy.
We're going to have pretend handicap Jesus.
No, not him.
I just want to see it just for your face, Jim. I'm sorry, I do.
I'm not doing it. I last watched it probably about 15 years ago. I think it's probably the TNG episode I've seen least or tied for that position.
If it is that, me and Elliot are just going to go on mute and just give you 20 minutes to just sound off. That's it next week.
It's not. I've got no what to say about it. It's rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Anyway, next week we won't be covering Loud as a Whisper. We will be covering the next episode of Prodigy and finally Return to Grace from the Dominion War arc in DS9.
Unless
if you want to
ridiculously obvious that we have to cover because it's
or someone dies, or
if bloody Loud as a Whisper guy turns up, I'm done. You two can record it. You can get someone else on. Get the guy who played Loud as a Whisper guy. He's not busy.
Elliot, I think we've established what we're recording any time that Jim's ill. It's the Loud as a Whisper special.
Bloody too right. Anyway, so if you want to get in touch with us, search for Retrek on all the socials, YouTube as well. We're all on there. Does YouTube count as one of the socials?
I think
I don't know.
Well, join our YouTube channel.
Join our YouTube channel. Join the Facebook group. And
join us on Twitter while it's still a thing.
While Twitter's still a thing. Oh, we'll have to get on that other one, won't we? What's it called? Hive or something.
Mastodon.
I think there's like 2 vying for it at the minute. Dr. Squee, you've got the Dr. Squee show.
What do you mean, the Dr. Squee show? Every Tuesday, 6 to 8 on sw20radio.co.uk. Well, yes,
that
as
is
it happens.
Exactly what I meant.
Now you mention it. This week, next week, I'm going to be putting up Lee Sullivan's interview with me from Screefest. So it's him talking about working on art for RoboCop, for Doctor Who. Like basically, if there's an IP, he's worked in it. He has done comics for everything, and he's a great artist and a wonderful chap. So please join me for that on Tuesday.
Fantastic. And then thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
LLAP and Dragon!